Direct peace talks between Russia and Ukraine ended after just over an hour in Istanbul.
Europe's largest active volcano, Mount Etna, located on the Italian island of Sicily, has erupted. Large plumes of smoke could be seen rising kilometers high above the volcano. The eruption occurred after parts of Mount Etna's southeastern crater collapsed, resulting in hot lava flows, according to the National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology. The agency says the spectacle was the 14th eruptive phase of the volcano in recent months. A volcanic tremor was first detected in the early hours of Monday. Multiple explosions known as strombolian eruptions followed for several hours. No deaths or injuries were reported in the eruptions, and officials say there is presently no immediate danger to people. Mount Etna erupts several times a year, and its activity is closely monitored due to its proximity to populated areas and high tourist attraction.
Direct peace talks between Russia and Ukraine ended after just over an hour in Istanbul, as delegations met for the second time in around 2 weeks. Neither President Zelensky nor Putin attended the talks. Both had sent delegations with memoranda outlining their terms. Speaking in Vilnius, Lithuania, Zelensky said both sides exchanged documents through the Turkish side and are now preparing a new release of prisoners of war. Expectations for a breakthrough in ending the 3-year-old war were low, and recent statements by senior officials from both countries suggested they remain deeply divided on key conditions. President Zelensky is calling for a conclusive ceasefire, the release of prisoners and the return of abducted children, terms he insists must carry consequences for Russia if they are not met. Russia has not yet definitively outlined its terms, but Putin has previously demanded Ukraine withdraw from Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia and Kherson, 4 regions Russia illegally annexed in 2022 but has never fully controlled. This was rejected by Kyiv and its allies. The talks come against the backdrop of a recent escalation in fighting on both sides, with Ukraine launching a surprise attack on 4 Russian air bases and Russia carrying out the largest-scale drone assault on Ukraine yet on Sunday.
Leaders of the Baltic states and northern European countries have met to discuss strengthening NATO's defense and support for Ukraine in Vilnius, Lithuania on Monday. President Volodymyr Zelensky, in attendance, commented on Ukraine's massive Sunday attack on Russian bombers.
Europe, together with America, has better weapons than Russia. We also have stronger tactical solutions. Our Operation Spiderweb yesterday proved that. Russia must feel what its losses mean. That is what will push it toward diplomacy.
Meanwhile, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte denied any indication that the United States was reviewing its military presence in Europe, but warned that NATO might not be able to properly defend itself against Russia in a few years' time if the alliance doesn't boost its defense. This summit comes ahead of the 2025 Hague NATO meeting in late June.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced on Monday that the UK will build 12 new attack submarines and 6 new ammunition factories as part of its strategic defence review. The externally led review outlined 62 recommendations which the government endorsed in full, including moving the armed forces into a state of war-fighting readiness.
I can announce today that we're going to build at least 6 new munitions factories in the United Kingdom, generating over 1,000 jobs. We will build thousands of new long-range weapons in the United Kingdom to boost European deterrence, supporting around 800 more jobs. We will defend our homeland by investing in our air and missile defence to better protect these islands. We will create a hybrid Royal Navy, blending drones with warships, submarines and aircraft to patrol the North Atlantic and beyond.
As part of the plan, Starmer said his government was going to invest £15 billion in a sovereign warhead program to secure the UK's deterrent. The investment should make some way into Britain's goal unveiled earlier this year to boost defence spending to 2.5% of the country's GDP by 2027 and to 3% in the next parliament.
Poland's National Electoral Commission has confirmed Karol Nawrocki as the winner of the presidential election, narrowly defeating Rafał Trzaskowski. The result highlights a divided society and raises concerns over future political stability. Outgoing President Andrzej Duda called the vote a message to Prime Minister Tusk.
Raczej dwie strony są po dwóch stronach barykady. Ale Nawrocki jest wielką niewiadomą, także nikt nie wie.
Musimy ochłonąć najpierw, czy to w ogóle jest możliwe jakieś ułożenie. Mam nadzieję, że jednak mądrość wygra i w jakiś sposób te relacje się ułożą i ten naród nie będzie taki podzielony, jak jest w tej chwili.
Nie ma porozumienia między rządem a prezydentem. Są dwa różne światy. Świat polski i świat niemiecki.
Ma wartości religijne i to jest bokser. A bokser będzie boksował.
Wygląda na to, jakby nowy prezydent Nawrocki był wybrany prawie na życzenie, po to, żeby koalicja przez następne 5 lat mogła się skarżyć, jak nie mogą niczego załatwić, bo prezydent im zamyka drzwi przed nosem.
Nie jestem Polakiem, ale myślę, że sytuacja jest bardzo zła i to będzie super ciężko.
Donald Tusk has announced plans to renegotiate the coalition deal and reshuffle his government.
Results of a government probe into Sweden's adoption practices prompted its lead investigator on Monday to call for a halt to all international adoptions. According to the Adoption Commission, the Swedish state must acknowledge violations of human rights and formally apologize to adoptees and their families. It also proposed that Sweden introduce long-term support for victims.
När det gäller då den framtida internationella adoptionsverksamheten så är mitt förslag att verksamheten med att förmedla barn för adoption till Sverige avvecklas.
Den internationella adoptionsverksamheten har syftat till att erbjuda föräldralösa barn i andra delar av världen föräldrar och en kärleksfull familj. Men frågor har väckts om huruvida oegentligheter skett. Och därför hoppas jag att kommissionens utredning ger svar på, eller är ett första steg mot att ge svar på de här frågorna.
During the probe, investigators said they discovered confirmed cases of child trafficking and illegal adoptions in every decade from the 1970s to the 2000s. The report makes Sweden the latest country to examine its international adoption policies after allegations of unethical practices.
Germany's former foreign minister Annalena Baerbock was appointed president of the United Nations General Assembly on Monday following an election in which she ran unopposed. Baerbock, who was elected to the position with a simple majority, will fill the top job at the Assembly, a role of primarily ceremonial significance. The role, which she will hold for 1 year, largely involves organizing plenary sessions among the UN's 193 representative countries. Russia, which was opposed to Baerbock's nomination, asked for a secret ballot on Monday, but the vote was considered a formality in the run-up to her election. Baerbock will be inaugurated on the 9th of September, shortly before the UN General Assembly holds its general debate.
Trading has resumed on the Damascus Securities Exchange after a 6-month-long break. It was closed from early December in the chaotic days of a surprise rebellion that led to the ouster of former longtime President Bashar al-Assad. But now, Syria's new leadership is looking to shore up the country's battered economy and begin rebuilding after almost 14 years of civil war.
رؤية الدولة الاقتصادية تقوم على ريادة القطاع الخاص وتشجيع الاستثمار والعدالة والإنصاف ومكافحة الفقر. نحن منفتحين على الاستثمار، ليس لدينا أي عقب ليس لدينا أي قيود، منفتحين على الاستثمار، من يرغب أن يستثمر في سوريا أهلا وسهلا به، سيجد الفرص الكثيرة وسيجد الفائدة الكبيرة وسيبني قصص نجاح.
The move to reopen comes as international restrictions on Syria's financial systems are beginning to ease. U.S. President Donald Trump was the first to announce the lifting of sanctions on Syria in a visit to Riyadh in May during his tour of the Middle East. The UK and EU also followed suit and eased restrictions and lifted sanctions in a bid to give the country a chance at recovery and rebuilding. Last week, Syria also signed a mega €6.1 billion deal with a consortium of Qatari, US, and Turkish energy companies. The deal will see these companies champion various energy projects that are expected to supply the country with more than half of its electricity needs. Europe's largest active volcano, Mount Etna, located on the Italian island of Sicily, has erupted. Large plumes of smoke could be seen rising kilometers high above the volcano. The eruption occurred after parts of Mount Etna's southeastern crater collapsed, resulting in hot lava flows, according to the National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology. The agency says the spectacle was the 14th eruptive phase of the volcano in recent months. A volcanic tremor was first detected in the early hours of Monday. Multiple explosions known as strombolian eruptions followed for several hours. No deaths or injuries were reported in the eruptions, and officials say there is presently no immediate danger to people. Mount Etna erupts several times a year, and its activity is closely monitored due to its proximity to populated areas and high tourist attraction.